Right? Oh, I got this though, watch. So what we're going to do, I can sit there, and then what I'm going to do is do this. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to do that. So YouTube signed me out. I got signed in on YouTube apparently. That's what this is saying. Oh, here we go. Alright. Now, that was strictly on YouTube this time. So, this one here, I should be in this one also now. And this one here, I've noticed something different, which is confusing. But, now we're going to wait a second. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call PlayStation. And find out why they keep doing that. I didn't get this. Oh, hey, Tierney, did you post something in there? Let me see if it shows up in the chat, or tell me if you see this. See how fast mine goes in there. Right, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn around a little bit. I got a mess over here. So I'm going to turn around a little bit. I don't have headphones on this one. So I'm going to face this, look like that, and do this one. I should just put it up there, but I ain't going to do that. One, I ain't in the room. Two, I really don't care to. See, my hello for a third time showed up in there. I don't think it did. Nope. Got the wrong one up. Alright. Let me do this. I gotta do this now. I gotta start this shit all over. Alright, so there's that. Let's see what this is doing. Right, this. And that one. I have no idea where the hell I'm at. See, there's no NFG up in there. To watch. Alright, there you go. Now we got it going. Alright, Tierney, I think because the chat, I had to switch it, so now I see. So type one more, just type like bullshit in there. Let me see, I got Venomous in here. You see what they do? There we go. This is nuts, ain't it, right? So PlayStation keeps doing that, so they'll do that again. So we're just going to go ahead and do this. YouTube hasn't thrown me out. PlayStation has. So we're going to do go ahead and close that because we already know they're going to fucking kill me. Right? So what we're going to do... I know what we'll do. We'll just run YouTube off of this and we can listen to it off of this. We'll do that. Yes, I did. Okay, so I'll tell you what, let's do it this way. Right now, there's just 3 of us. We know this may take a minute. What we're going to do is... Oh, Trump colludes. Let's see. Pretty sure this is Adam Schiff trying to get Trump to collude while he colludes. See what happens.
This is actually funny. I am going to put a challenge out right now, and I bet that this would actually work. I challenge someone in this audience to call up Adam Schiff's office, pretend you're either a member of the Trump team or a former member of the Trump team, and you have dirt on Russian collusion.
Power off.
I'll even announce this whole thing on air right now, and I guarantee you someone could still go do this. I guarantee you someone listening to this right now, record the whole thing, make it go viral. Call Adam Schiff's office, tell him you used to work in the Trump team and you're a disgruntled ex-Trump team member and you have dirt on the Russians. I guarantee you can get him to fall for it.
You know, someone very profoundly once said, many years ago, that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
You make fart noises with your mouth? I said yes.
Can you guys hear me?
The old Harvey Weinstein statue revealed there. Harvey on the old casting couch, his gobblers out, his big guts out. There he is. Good old Harvey. He's just waiting for Oprah to bring him his next victim. I'm just gonna wait and see if God tells me.
See, now you can't play music on here because you get banned. That's what I think is funny. But let's go ahead and have this little thing going on right here. Let's see just how much it happens with local PD. Let's see how they actually act. We're gonna go in here. Now, this is a dude named Jesse Lee Peterson. He goes around talking to black people. Well, hold on, let me find another one. Well, I guess this one here just have this. Listen to this stuff. I've never heard this one.
Come on, guys. Come on over. Ready? So, let me ask. How old are you?
I'm 20.
How about you? 21. How about you?
I'm 15.
15. Did you vote for President Trump?
Nah, fuck Trump.
Fuck Trump, man.
Fuck Donald Trump.
He's taking our state into a hellhole. I do how? Because how he taking all the free money and stuff, man. You taking the free money?
Yeah, taking all I know, man.
Taking all the
I
dope,
need
just
something
doing
too.
dumb shit. What free money is he taking? Damn, you asking too much
Shit, all the motherfucking free money. Fuck Donald Trump up.
See, they have no idea what they're talking about.
I don't respect this president. I don't trust this president. He's not working it.
But let's just be fair. I don't like cops neither. So let me get some of that in here. Let's see if I can find some people. I know I got something in here because I watch all this crap. You know, look, everybody says conservatives bad, and we think you should have the right to do what you want to do. Well, listen, there, here you go. Let me find one. Yeah. Oh. See. There you go. Let's hit some of these people that come in here as liberals with a little bit of truth. Let's see if we can find something halfway worth watching. Nope. 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 Okay, let's yeah. Oh, that's an hour long. Here, this guy used to think was funny, so I thought, and now I started believing, oh, wait. He believes this shit. So this guy's name's Christopher Titus. So let's see. This is 2007. Listen to what he says. And just tell me what you hear that we think is funny, but see what he has. This guy's kind of everywhere. I ain't heard him in a while. You know, here, let's just do it. Fuck that shit. Let's see. Yeah, where is it? I know he's gonna have some new stuff. There you go.
Survivors of last week's Florida shooting gathered with the parents of children killed in previous shootings to discuss what the country ought to be doing going forward. Here's some of what was said.
We must create a culture of connectedness. We must create a culture in which our classmates become our friends. Every single one of these school shootings have been from young men who are disconnected.
One school shooting, and we should have fixed it. And I'm pissed. Because my daughter, I'm not going to see again.
I want to feel safe at school. You know, senior year and junior year are big years for me. When I turned my academics around, started connecting with teachers, and I started actually enjoying school. And now, I don't know how I'm ever going to step foot on that place again. The teacher would have a concealed gun on them. They'd go for special training. And they would be there, and you would no longer have a gun-free zone. Gun-free zone to a maniac, because they're all cowards. A gun-free zone is let's go in and let's attack, because bullets aren't coming back at us.
Right.
We feel for those kids and their families. It seems likely as a political matter that some form of gun control may be coming. The White House has signaled support for stricter background checks and a federal ban on bump stocks. And it's not even close to what
See if that goes over a little bit.
You saw some of those demands today at widely televised gun control.
Take it easy, Teddy. I'll probably still be on here. Let's kill this too.
Douglas High School in Parkland, and that should not be surprising. It's understandable. People become political activists all
right, and they ain't gonna find nothing.
Tragedies, that's their right. Nobody ought to attack them for it. We're certainly not attacking them. We never would. We assume they have the best motives. Most of us have the best motives.
Now listen to the arguments.
School shootings. The question is, what do you do about them? And if you watch a lot of cable news, you know that the answer is simple. You
just pay attention to this, and then we'll listen to it.
And you do something about guns. Not anything specific, just something. But first, you have to defeat the evil conservatives who love school massacres. Once you do that, the violence will go away like magic. As the demagogues on the other channels are telling you, they use the traumatized children of Parkland as a human shield. Ask them what they're calling for. Ask them to describe these policies that will supposedly fix everything, and these childless news anchors screech that you're attacking the children. It's funny, every January, thousands of other children come to Washington for the March on Life. Like the kids from Parkland, they're against killing. Some of them have had abortions, a few of them have survived abortions. Do the media hold these kids up as the last word on the subject? Do they attack anyone who questions them? Please. A lot of news outlets don't even bother to cover that march at all. All kids at any march, just like all Americans, have a right to talk and to do so in public, to give their opinions anywhere, including on television. Unlike many on the left, we support that right unequivocally in every case. But the rest of us also have a right to add our voices to the conversation. We have an obligation to do that because we all have a stake in this country's laws. And the truth is, this is a remarkably complicated subject. That's why we haven't fixed it yet. Any answer has to balance our need for safety with the respect for the civil rights of individuals and an acknowledgement that this is a constitutional republic. It's not the set of Morning Joe. For example, pretty much everybody agrees that people with mental illness should not have firearms. That sounds simple, okay? But what do you do then with the more than 400,000 Iraq and Afghanistan vets who have received a diagnosis of PTSD? That's a mental disorder. Should they lose their rights to gun ownership because they were injured by war? All of a sudden, it's not so simple. Or how about domestic abusers? Nobody thinks they should have guns. We don't, obviously. But what if they haven't been convicted of anything yet? rights from somebody who is legally innocent? And if you can take their gun rights away, how about their voting rights or their free speech rights? We're not sure of the answers to those.
This is
But we're
nothing these
positive
people
they
are saying, man.
questions that need to be debated and considered by smart people sincerely trying to make the country better. The media
Absurd as a
preachers
fucking
are
pain
not
in my back.
They're telling us it's a simple fix as long as you care enough. That's a lie, and they're using children to tell that lie. Spare us. We're for the children, we're not for you. Congressman Jim Himes is a Democrat, represents Connecticut. He joins us tonight. And Congressman, unlike a lot of people, you've been specific about what you want, and I admire that. You were on CNN on Monday, and you said, and I'm quoting now, we want to be no different from Canada or Australia or Great Britain. So in Australia, and you hear this a lot from the left, 650,000 guns were confiscated from citizens, and that's what you're calling for. Who would do that? Who would take those guns in this country?
No, that's not what I'm calling for, Tucker. Australia is a pretty good example because after the massacre of 35 of its citizens in Port Arthur in 1996, they implemented a whole series. And I don't usually agree with you, Tucker, but you're right. This is a complicated problem that won't get solved, certainly not by the media on either side, but it will get solved over time, not perfectly, by lots of measures, some of which were tried by Australia. Now, Australia doesn't have a Second Amendment, so they're not the best example, but we do know that if we could get universal background check, no matter where you buy a gun, you get a background check.
They have that.
If you could find a way, and I admit that it is complicated with rights to make sure that people with temporary restraining orders temporarily give up their weapons. If you could do a whole bunch of those things, there is no question that, like Australia, we could see our gun violence in this country plummet.
Well, there is a question about that. I mean, we don't actually know, and we had the assault weapons ban of 1994, and it seemed like it would reduce killings, and it didn't. We know that conclusively. So you're never quite sure what the effect is, but you twice pointed to Australia as a model for gun policy here. So what specifically about Australia? Again, a country that confiscated its citizens' guns by the hundreds of thousands. What specifically did they do that we should do?
Yeah, you can keep using the word confiscation.
Well, they did. That's a fact.
Not
No, that's
what
a
I'm
fact.
calling for. It is also a fact that they instituted a mandatory waiting period for the purchase of a gun. It is also a fact that they instituted a universal background check. Two things that we don't have in this country that might be considered constitutional. So you can leave the confiscation behind because that's not what anybody is talking about.
But that was the essence. That was the essence of what they did. You're not allowed to own a gun in Australia except under circumstances where the government says you've somehow got a right to. The same with Great Britain. You pointed to Great Britain. In Great Britain, you're not allowed to own a gun. You have to prove that you should be allowed to have one. Are you calling for that?
Well, no, I'm not. In both of those countries, in the absence of a Second Amendment, you're right. You have to show a cause, a reason to have a gun. We have a Second Amendment in this country, which you may be surprised to hear I support. So we're obviously not going to require the citizens. Well, you can say that as much as you want, Tucker, but
I'm just saying it once in response to what you said.
What I'm calling for is what, by the way, the president, I'm not usually in the habit of praising the president, what the president has said he's willing to consider. Things like tightening up the background check, things like restrictions on technology like bump stocks. Nobody's calling for confiscation or for everything they do in Australia and Great Britain.
But look, you're the one. Just to be clear, don't paint me as a demagogue. You just said this 2 days ago on CNN, and you pointed specifically to a country that got rid of gun violence because they got rid of guns. So I think it's a fair question for me to ask when you point to Australia, why are you not calling for confiscation? Because that's the core thing they did.
First of all, Australia did not get rid of guns. There are still a lot of guns in Australia. There are plenty of guns in Canada. There are plenty of guns in the United Kingdom. These are countries that are different than our own. But no, they did not get rid of guns in any one of those countries. So,
but they have.
Keep talking about Australia. I never called for confiscation.
You're the one who was talking about Australia, not me. Okay, so let me just say this: those countries also have universal gun
Australia is a good model in one way. Australia is a good model in one way, which was that after a tragedy, 35 people dead in Port Arthur, they got together, the Prime Minister and 6 states got together and said, let's pass a package of gun safety changes that will reduce violence. Now, not all of those changes would apply in the United States. I'm not calling for that.
Like taking them away by force from the population. So let me ask you this. Those countries also have
you can keep saying that, but that's not what anybody is calling for.
I'm sorry. I know a lot about this, and that was the whole point of the bill. So, and you must know that.
No, that was a part of the bill that I'm not calling for, and frankly, almost nobody is calling for confiscation.
Okay, so let me ask you this: those countries all have universal gun registration. You own a gun, you have to register with the government. Are you for that?
You know, they actually canceled the universal gun registration in Australia because they felt that it was more of a burden on legal gun owners than it was on people who were going to use guns illegally. Would no, I'm not necessarily for it in the United States. I am for everybody having a background check. I am for people with temporary restraining orders temporarily giving up their guns. I am for a limit on the size of the magazine that you can use. Things that we've done here in the state of Connecticut, which have been constitutional and have not resulted in people's Second Amendment
size of the magazine. So I wondered, I was wondering this today. So you work up on Capitol Hill surrounded by armed guards. Do you think they have too many guns, and do you believe that their magazines hold too many rounds? And if not, why not?
Tucker, nice try. You're not going to
get me to say that sincere question. They protect you. You feel safe with a lot of people with high-capacity magazines, but I'm not allowed to have them in my house to protect my family? Because why? Explain it slowly so I can understand.
Okay, all right, let's explain that. That's an absurd argument, but let me agree with you that I would be perfectly happy with the general public having the same firearms that the Capitol Police have if the general public were, like Capitol Police, required to undergo a criminal check, required to recertify themselves.
This guy doesn't even know the second
year for the use of those firearms and personally accountable and professionally accountable for how they're used. So if you're willing to put all of those restrictions on the general public's right to own firearms, which is what the Capitol Police have, which
you have no right otherwise. Let me just ask you finally one last question. So you just, because some of us are confused by the details here, you endorsed the most recent iteration of the assault weapons ban. And in that, and I've asked this question of a lot of lawmakers, I'm interested to see your response. In that, it would ban rifles that have something called the barrel shroud. Those would be illegal. Why? What is a barrel shroud, and why would you ban it?
So a barrel shroud, as you probably know, because you've talked to your other guests about it, is a covering on the barrel of a gun that allows you to hold that gun when the barrel has overheated because of multiple rounds being fired.
That's correct. That's right.
Right, okay, so we agree on that. Now, I'm not all that worked up over barrel shrouds, and I'm not even interested really in going the route of saying that an assault weapon ban will solve our problems. I happen to support a ban on technology that allows you to squeeze off 20 or 30 rounds in a minute or two. Now, I understand that
but then why did you support this bill that would have banned that and pistol grips and folding stocks and bayonet lugs and all these things that are irrelevant? It makes you seem not serious if you support something like that.
You know, lots of states have passed assault weapons ban. I heard you talking about, you know, the desire of the populace earlier. Lots of states have implemented, including my own of Connecticut, assault weapon ban. Now, what I'm going to tell you is that the number of people
and nobody really uses assault weapons. Only one person is watching.
That is a relatively small percentage. Nonetheless, I don't want people to have guns that allow them, and most police officers don't want people to have guns that allow them to squeeze off 20 or 30 rounds very rapidly without
so I think everybody's doing this.
Reloading. Look, you asked about barrel shrouds.
I'm sorry, Congressman. I think I'll let you unpack it all, and I appreciate your willingness to come on and explain your views on this. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Tucker. We start with the most controversial pizzeria on the planet. Memory's Pizza in Indiana has closed indefinitely after the restaurant became ground zero of the culture wars this week. One of the owners described the response to his stance on gay marriage.
Just intolerable. The anger, the bitterness is just, I don't understand it. I don't, they're good people. There's just things that I don't agree with them.
On the plus side, donations from supporters are pouring in. As of Friday, more than $500,000 have been raised through a fund set up for the owners, which I think is now at more like $850,000. Meanwhile, the news media continues to responsibly cover people who value religious liberty protections.
Jennifer Williams is an associate at this flower shop. She regards the Bible as the rule book for her life. She doesn't believe refusing service to a gay couple is discrimination.
When you talk about the Bible, how important it is, I mean, the Bible talks an awful lot about love and loving your fellow man.
It doesn't mean that I love them any less, because I don't. I pray for them, I hope.
But if you don't serve them, it's not like you're...
It's not that I hate them. I don't hate them. But
you're not loving them if you don't want to serve them, right?
Well, yeah, you can still love someone, I mean, even though you don't serve them.
That's CNN reporter Gary Tuckman in Georgia.
let's watch him patronize another flower shop employee.
You know the Ten Commandments that says you can't commit adultery, that you need to honor your father and mother. If someone didn't honor their parents or commit adultery, would you serve them?
Yes.
Well, why would you serve them but not serve someone who is gay?
It's just a different kind of sin to me, and I just don't believe in it.
In these flower shops, they are happy to do business with you, but not so much if you tell them you're gay.
That's not what they said, you ass! God, that guy is talking exactly the same way I talk to a 3-year-old that punched someone. He's got that sort of, we know that that's wrong, don't we? Remy, is it illegal to refuse someone's service based on their sexual proclivity?
Well, these are private companies, so...
Alright, now I think we're just going to game for a little bit. That's done.